So the way that I speak about things, I assume, Joshua, that you're new to the way I speak about things, is that I tend to call the ego the character. So I tend to stay away from the ego, because the word ego, because so many spiritual teachers use it in different ways, so I just tend to not use it in any way. Occasionally I say it if someone I'm speaking to is using it, but I say there is a character in the body. So that arises with memories, with feelings, with sensations, with experiences, with neural pathways in the body, and each moment that character is arising, it's like embedded in the body, it's part of the body. The same with like my dog, like the way she moves her paws. If she looked different, if she got put into a different body, I'm sure her behavior would change, as that body would have different needs and wants, and maybe different neural pathways. So with me, I have a particular way of seeing the world. This body has a particular way of responding, dependent on the way my parents were, on the schooling and education system I went to, the environment in which I've surrounded myself, the books that I've read. So this body has certain information that's gone in, and you could say that this body is like a whole, like, clusterfuck. Everybody's a clusterfuck of information. Like there's all these tiny particles and glued together, which carry and store information from one part to the other. And some of the information I'm conscious of, and some of it's not. Like, so some of the body is like pumping the blood. I just have to keep making sure the camera's on. I have to change the battery at some point. So some of it's like pumping the blood, and I don't know why it doesn't focus on my face, but sorry, I shouldn't be looking at these things. So you've got, I can't be aware of the information that's pumping the blood, or the way that in which my leg muscles squeeze together to create movement. There is a consciousness of that, but there is a consciousness of behaviors to an extent. Some behaviors are unconscious. So, you know, if I snap at someone or if I get angry, there might not be a consciousness about that behavior. Like it's something that that arises, and then what we do to change our behavior is we try to become more conscious of it. So we try to become more conscious of what we want, of what we desire, of what we need, and then through getting more conscious of it, we try to reprogram these bodies and get them to behave in different ways. So we put information in order to change it, and that is integral to the body. So this character is integral to this machine, and it's constantly updating and it's constantly evolving and changing dependent on the information that goes in. And once awakening happens, which has nothing to do with the character at all, but once that awakening happens, then that has an effect on the character. So the character will begin to grow to that shift. Even though it's not the person's shift, it doesn't happen to the person, it is going to affect the body-mind. So that character is going to evolve and change. The character can infinitely change, just like knowledge can infinitely expand, the character can infinitely expand. There is no boundaries on how much this character can evolve and change and grow and know. And that can happen endlessly, just like all organisms here on this earth can grow and expand. A tree can expand over many decades or many thousands and thousands of years. It can change its DNA, it can change its makeup, and it can become more in sync or more productive for its environment. And that's the same with our characters. We're based on the same phenomena of expanding constantly, and they say that this universe is in one big expansion. So from the Big Bang, it's constantly expanding, and it seems like evolution is like that. Like we're in these upgoing spirals. So you like, in a way, life is circular, but it's like the circles are getting bigger. This circular life experience gets bigger and bigger. Like in 200 years, I'm sure that the humans are going to be up in the skies and going out further and further to different planets, or maybe even different galaxies. So this is something that's changing and evolving. So the integration between the two is something that happened here and is carrying on happening here. Like integrates more and more with the character. But you've got to remember the character and the ego isn't alive, it's a machinery. Just like all other forms in this life, they're information which creates certain experiences. Who's alive and who's conscious and who's witnessing that is who you truly are, and is not dependent on anything. It's not dependent on being alive because of the body. It's not dependent on any things to be alive. It is conscious, and it is the source of all things. As to say, we're all noodles, nodals, points of awareness. We're all nodals. Not really. Then you go deep into your experience, you'll actually see that consciousness isn't contained anywhere. Consciousness is everything. So you think that consciousness is coming from these body minds or coming from a specific place. It's looking through these body minds, but in the direct experience, consciousness is actually everywhere. Like, where does your consciousness stop? You might say it stops here in front of my body, or it stops here. Actually, consciousness isn't everything it sees. It's not, there isn't space and distance. That's an idea that we've created as humanity, and then it makes it feel like that. If you take drugs, or if you have an awakening experience, then it becomes very clear that your essence, who you truly are, isn't contained inside this body. This body is a vessel in who you are. Very nice. I want to direct it more effectively. What do you want to direct more effectively? Pourquoi? It seems to, I've got stuck my camera. Ah, there we go. If I put my hand over it, it refocuses. Very good. What do you want to direct more effectively? The character. Yeah, but that's your mistake. To redirect your character onto awareness, you can't. Your awareness, consciousness, I call it, the big consciousness, is experiencing that character. The character can't turn around and look at the big consciousness. The character is being looked at. The character has something called personal awareness, which is functioning of the body. So the personal awareness is where you can put your attention on a sound happening outside. You can put the attention on the tip of my nose. You can put the attention on your big toe. You can put your attention on your elbows. So you can do all of that. But all of that is being experienced by something. There is something that knows that movement of attention. That is like moving the camera. So let me just get my phone. So in my phone, I have a camera. Now I can connect my camera to my editing suite here that I've got for live stream. So I can have two cameras. So I could be filming Khaleesi outside, and every time I wanted to have a squeaking cute fit, like tick, 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 I could go to Khaleesi and I could sing her a song, and we could watch Khaleesi being sung to, or whatever it is. So I could use my phone like wirelessly to sit outside and film my dog. So just out there. I could film her and have it set up, and I could see her out there. So this camera, so you can see here, this camera can film things, but it can't see. My camera cannot, this phone cannot be conscious of what's happening. So the phone can record the information. It can be a live portal that sits outside and films my dog, but the camera isn't conscious. This isn't conscious. So it can't experience filming my dog. It needs us to look at it with our consciousness in order to experience that film that's being taken. And the question is, by like I think really famous Zen quote is, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? That's a koan. And that's so if we don't look at the phone and we don't look at the picture, is it actually happening? And we can never determine that. We can just go by what our experience is, and what our experience is, no, it's not happening, but we can't be sure about that because it's only conceptual, and we can also begin to see that concepts are only concepts and they don't actually lead us anywhere, just to more concepts. But we can use them to depict what we already believe. So we need something to look at this camera. Now this camera, we could say, has, we could use it as a metaphor, as a human, and we can move it, and that's like moving personal awareness. So we can film this side of the room, we can film this side of the room, we can film up there, and we can see different things, and we can say that's what personal awareness is, the ability to focus the lens up there, down there, on your big toe, on your heart beating, on the smell that's happening. Oops, I just gave something away. You can focus your personal awareness, just like we can move the camera alone, then we can focus it, we can pull it in. And most people think that personal awareness can turn around and look at the big consciousness, but it can't. It's always being experienced. So a lot of people practice putting their attention in awareness and putting their attention in I am, and I recommend it. I think it's super helpful. But just know that you can never see consciousness. Consciousness is always looking at you. It's like the phone cannot see who's looking at the phone. So this phone is now like looking at the room over there. So you can see that. So it's looking at that room over there, so it's got focus. Now we're looking at it and we're giving it consciousness by looking at it. So we're seeing what's happening through the phone. So the person thinks that it can turn that phone round, so it can turn its personal awareness round and its head round and look back at the looker, but it's never true. It's actually an illusion. Consciousness will always be looking at the movement of personal awareness and the movement of the body-mind mechanism, the thoughts in the body-mind mechanism. It's the silent witness that never moves and is always there in everything. And it cannot be seen, it sees. So you can actually never get to personal awareness. So when open awareness is being aware of awareness, what do you think is happening? So when open awareness is being aware of awareness, what do you think is happening? I think that that's an experience of a divided mind, and I think it's part of the awakening experience. And then finally what will happen is there will simply be everything, and there won't be somebody that knows everything. There will be a character that can come up and report the experience, but the experience will simply be wholeness. The person always personalizes everything and says, I had an awakening, I saw something, but who? That would be a division, that would be two. How does awareness see awareness? How do you remember yourself? You can't remember yourself. How does somebody wake up? There is nobody that can wake up. There is only what's happening, and what's happening isn't divided. Where is your consciousness separate from everything else that's happening? Your consciousness doesn't stop anywhere. Your consciousness is everything that appears. And in that, there's somebody that moves personal awareness. In that, there's thoughts. And the illusion is that's who you are. That you are that. That is not who you are. And when that illusion rises, that you are personal awareness, that you're the body and that you're the emotions, what happens is a fixation on your experience giving you wholeness. But you're not conscious of that. It's just that as soon as you lose yourself, so as soon as you lose home, as soon as you divide into two rather than one, it always feels uncomfortable. So then it creates something called seeking for home, and you're never going to find it. Home is. Vous me comprendre? Vous me comprendre? Do you understand? Doesn't matter if you don't understand. Understanding is something that comes and goes in who you are. Who's watching that understanding? Who sees all the thoughts and all the one trying to work it out? Who knows that? But you can write back after you thought about that. Hello, Lisa. Greetings from Ecuador. Greetings to Ecuador. Thank you for everything. You have been such an inspiration for having the courage to jump into the void, which doesn't actually feel like the void. What a joke life makes to us. Yes. Nice. I wish that fulfilled my understanding. Yeah, that's just an experience. Understanding comes and goes. So you want it to, but who would it fulfill? It's just in this moment the understanding wants to understand. It's like, and then that disappears. Then you're like, what's for dinner? What's happening on the internet? You'll never get it in anything. It's what is happening right here. Who's conscious of that understanding?